evening. This is BTV. I'm Malice, and we're going to jump straight into a Quedia segment with Steve, taking us to a magical land of sun, shine, and film with the Sunshine Film Festival. This should be interesting. Let's visit with Steve now.
Good evening, my name is Steve Pereira and welcome to Quedia on BTV, where we explore all things media and culture. Melbourne's western suburbs have a much undeserved reputation for being cultural wastelands. Drugs, violence, strip malls and blocks and blocks and blocks of box houses. Not so. There's a thriving art scene in the suburbs and, more importantly, an art scene that is dedicated to challenging those perceptions and stereotypes of that suburban life. Welcome to the Sunshine Film Festival, and welcome to Sunshiner Michael Sandic, who was first prize winner of last year's competition and was inspired enough to join us on the organising committee this year. Michael is a freelance videographer and has made film clips and commercials for television. Michael, what inspired you about the Sunshine Film Festival?
That it's in Sunshine. I mean, there's, like the intro said, there's not much going on in Sunshine arts-wise and that sort of thing. So it's really good that there is an outlet for people to be able to create some sort of content for Sunshine, which is really good. And I mean, there's not a lot of programs and that go on in the area. I mean, I'm sure there are, but not in an arts context. So I think it's really important for there to be a Sunshine Film Festival.
And full disclosure, I'm part of the organising committee as well. It is a very incestuous relationship we have around here.
Let's not use that word, Steve. Between us, it's a professional, yeah.
Point taken. But the idea is that in the Western region there is very little visible arts and culture that you see in terms of generally. There is lots of stuff that happens there, but not many people know about it. Now, your film last year was Man vs. Wild, which is a really interesting take on how to survive in Sunshine. What inspired you to make that? What was the impetus behind that?
Well, one of my friends, first of all, brainstorming ideas and just thinking about stuff and, a lot of battlers are in Sunshine, I guess, what you would call battlers, and Sunshine Sunshine does have a reputation for being a kind of a tough place, so survival kind of comes into it. Got a mate who's mad about going fishing and camping, and he likes watching the Man vs. Wild Bear Grylls, so we decided we'd do Man vs. Sunshine and talk about how it's difficult to survive in Sunshine. We had him pinching lemons and running around, drinking the river water and all sorts of silly things. And, it was pretty funny. And at the end of the day, the audience really liked it and they voted it up, and here I am.
And that's one of the unusual things about the Sunshine Film Festival. It is about sunshine in lots of ways. It is a very specific festival made by people about the people there. One of the films last year, for instance, was a woman who made a film about her neighbours on her street using her phone, and she just got the phone for the first time. Which is the other point, is that this is both a community-based festival and a festival for professional filmmakers like yourselves. Do you see that mixture being an important part of that festival and the whole scene there?
It's hard to say because it's early days yet with the Sunshine Film Festival. The turnout was great last year, but I think we'll have to see the direction that it goes in the future. It's definitely a good idea to have the Sunshine community be involved with it, but I think the participation level wasn't so high last year, and I mean, we really need to get people to make films, and if they're from the Sunshine area, even better. But like we were discussing, there's not much of a art scene in Sunshine. Hopefully this will help to breed and create more of an art scene, but yeah, at the moment, it'd be really good if we got more participation from within Sunshine.
One of the problems with filmmaking is that it seems so technology heavy. You have to know cameras, you have to know lighting, you have to know audio. But with technology today, people are making films on their mobile phones and all, so it's very accessible now for even people with minimum knowledge about filmmaking. Is that something you'd want to communicate to people as well? That you can just, it's easy. This is the dilemma as a professional filmmaker. Do you want to demystify what you do and say filmmaking is not that big a deal, or?
Well, the thing is, I think a lot of people think filmmaking isn't a very big deal. When you're doing freelance video, a lot of people think, oh, we'll get the marketing guy to do it, and we'll get him to write the script and shoot it and light it and do all this stuff, and you end up with a dog's breakfast at the other end and a marketing guy who hasn't done marketing work for the past 2 weeks. So I think it's good for people to get their mobile phone, shoot in high def, shoot something, have it on the big screen, and then see what an actual professional production is like next to it. So I mean, I don't know. For getting involvement in Sunshine, I think using the mobile phone category is an excellent way to get participation.
But you don't have to be a professional filmmaker in order to get it in, or to make a film.
No.
For people looking for inspiration for story ideas and stuff, what advice would you give them?
Wake up in the morning, go out, open your eyes, look at things, and just think outside the box. Inspiration can come from anywhere, and just think laterally. What
would any films that inspired you, particularly that are a source of inspiration that you'd use as a model? Yeah, I mean everything's an inspiration to me. I mean, from my favorite movie Back to the Future to 30-second animation I see done with Flash online. The way the shots are framed, the content, the timing, everything can inspire me to make something. And if somebody was to say, where do I start? What's your first point? Where would you tell people to start? At the beginning, and when you get to the end, stop. Sounds like Sound of Music. Where you start at the very beginning. No, but in terms of solid, like if I want to make a film for a film festival, what's my first step? First step, I guess, would be to come up with an idea for a story. Story is very important. I think a good idea would be to look at fairy tales and just see structure. You have an incident that happens at the beginning, there's complications to the end goal, and then everything's resolved at the end. And if you have that sort of an arc with your story, that's probably the first place I'd say you should start. So you've got, and that's the traditional three-act structure. You've got your basic scenarios, and something happens to create conflict, and then the conflict gets resolved, and you arrive at a resolution. Are there any other narratives that would work? I mean, anything can work, but you start getting to the realm of what I like to call artsy-fartsy, which is good, don't get me wrong, but not everybody is into that sort of thing. Once again, it depends on what sort of film you want to make. Another good, if you're looking at doing something non-structured, then go nuts, do something abstract, which can be kind of cool. Like just a collage of images. Yeah, that could be cool. Once again, it wouldn't appeal to the most amount of people. A lot of people like what's called the hero's journey. It was by Joseph Campbell, I think his name was, and it goes on this sort of arc, like Star Wars, Jaws. Pretty much every single blockbuster movie has followed this one structure, and I really like that structure. But generally, if you want to change people's perceptions about who you are and what you do, you tell people about who you are and what you do. And filmmaking is a great way to do that. God, I sound like a morality fable here. But for all of you who want to go out and make filmmakers, go out and do this. There's lots of competitions, not just the Sunshine Film Festival. There are heaps of other competitions out there. We can only change people's perceptions by the stories we tell and getting out there and doing that. So get inspired, get involved. In this case, go to the Sunshine Short Film Festival website. Again, full disclaimer, I'm part of the organisation. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for coming out to Ben TV. And wish you all the best with the festival. Wish us all the best with the festival. Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much. You've been watching Quedia on Ben TV. We'll see you next time round. Good night.
I've always thought Sunshine sounded like such a lovely place. Almost as nice as Tittybong in northwest Victoria. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Bent soon. You're watching Bent TV, and this next segment also happens to have a bit more malice in it. And I'm chatting with the excellent Dr. Glen, who is helping us understand the issue of porn addiction. Here's Dig Deeper now. Hi, I have Dr. Glen Hosking with me today, psychologist, and we're going to talk porn. Welcome, Glen.
Thank you very much for having me.
So I want to start off by saying I don't want to get into the merits or not of porn, so whether it's good or bad, but rather I want to talk about when good porn goes bad and your consumption of it turns from recreation into something that takes over your life and becomes an addiction. So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, I was saying that, Glen, I don't think that the pornography addiction has made it into the DSM yet, which is the handbook for psychologists.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you think it's because this type of addiction hasn't been well understood as yet?
Well, that might be the case as to why, but there are a lot of addictive behaviours, whether it be addictions to sex or addictions to food, that perhaps don't have a specific kind of diagnosis or diagnostic criteria in the kind of mental handbook.
Yeah, okay.
So just because it's not there doesn't necessarily mean that it's not recognised whenever a behaviour or a fixation on any kind of behaviour, substance or any kind of behaviour becomes kind of pathological. There is some sort of diagnosis that the person could probably meet.
Okay. So you mentioned addiction to, say, food, and is porn addiction different to, say, being addicted to food or alcohol? And do you think it affects the brain in a different way?
Well, I mean, in terms of it being different, probably not. I mean, whenever someone develops an addiction to anything, whether it be alcohol or drugs or food or sex or shopping or shoplifting or porn, there's always very similar mechanisms that go along with it. You know, a lot of the time when people are experiencing an addictive behaviour, it's often fulfilling some other kind of thing that perhaps is missing in their life. And so it's a little bit deeper than just the use of the substance or the actual kind of behaviour.
Okay.
Now, with some addictions, so for example with drugs or with alcohol, there's a physiological change that happens as a result of using the substance.
Okay, yep.
But there is some evidence to say that when people gamble or when people use other kinds of, or engage in other kinds of behaviours, that it affects the physiology in a similar kind of way as to when people are engaging in specific kinds of substances.
Yeah, okay, yes, I read something about dopamine or something.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know the whole scientific kind of nature kind of behind it, but other than to say that there is some evidence that it does have an effect on the body. Together with that, what a lot of people find is that when they engage in this kind of behaviour, that it does bring about a sense of, well, it's something that they use to be able to relax, for example.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean that the behaviour is helpful for them. So if someone's gambling, for example, they might use it as a way of kind of forgetting about the emotional problems in their world. But of course there are a whole range of secondary difficulties that happen as a result of engaging in the behaviour. And I guess we could probably classify porn addictions into a similar kind of category, and that someone might do it to fulfil some other kinds of means for them, but that doesn't mean that it is necessarily a healthy way to try and deal with the difficulties that they're experiencing.
Yeah, sort of like an escape, you're talking.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to find their ways, find a way to block out something else that's going on for them, or disconnect from, it could be a painful emotional experience, for example.
Yeah. So I read that there's an estimate that 1 in 3 Australians are porn consumers. How can you or your partner tell when your porn watching habits become approaching an addiction?
Yeah, that's a really good question in terms of being able to work out what is the kind of threshold. And really the main area that we want to try and look at is at what point is it starting to interrupt the person's day-to-day functioning. So at what point does it mean that the person is no longer engaging in relationships with their partner? No longer it's affecting their social life, it might be affecting their work life. They might find that they're really affected when they are unable to access porn, and that leads them to feel more depressed, or they might feel really anxious unless they're able to kind of access the porn. That's the difference between what we might call a normal user of porn, and as you say, you know, the statistics estimate that around a third, if not more, people are consumers of porn. The difference between it is that there might be a regular kind of user, similar to alcohol. You know, the statistics are that a majority of people do engage in alcohol, but there are a proportion for that for people it becomes too much of a problem, and for those people it's affecting their kind of day-to-day life. So it's similar to porn.
Okay. So apparently recent research suggests that gay men are more comfortable with the idea of their partner watching porn, as it seems to be more acceptable for men to watch, but some partners watch in secret, which I think is where the issue kind of comes up. Glen, what would you suggest to someone who's worried about their partner's secret porn dabbling?
Well, I think in these sorts of situations it's always the best to be honest. Because someone's engaging in porn, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with the relationship or something wrong with their partner. Like we say, most people do consume porn at some point.
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons why partners are sometimes reluctant to raise these sorts of issues with their partner is because they think that it might mean something, that there's some problems with the
lacking,
relationship.
yeah.
That there's something lacking in the relationship. And that's not necessarily true. But it's always good to try and find out. And engaging in that kind of conversation is certainly the best kind of way of doing it, and being very kind of honest in doing it.
Yeah, I think it's good to note that so many people are porn users, and so it's not, such an embarrassing kind of thing. Some people have in the past have found it kind of an embarrassing topic to broach. I've caught you watching porn.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So I think it's good maybe that it's more out there now.
And I think it is important that people do accept the fact that most people do
Yeah.
consume it at some point, and a lot of people do enjoy it when they consume it.
Yeah. I don't know whether you know if there's any support groups for people out there. Do you know of any?
Look, certainly there are a range of support groups that are available, and I think that it is helpful for people to have a look in their local area and to try and find these sorts of things.
Yeah.
Together with that, it is good to do some particular research into what it might mean for porn. It's very easy to kind of accept what we think might be right, or what we think might be the case in terms of the reasons why people do access pornography, but a lot of the time those reasons that we think might be true might actually be untrue.
Okay, Glenn, thank you. So it's about talking to people and listening, maybe doing a little bit of research and possibly not worrying too much about it, do we think?
Yeah, unless it's really, as we say, impacting
Taking
on their
over.
day-to-day functioning.
Yeah. Okay, Glenn, thank you very much for coming and talking porn with us. Thanks. Well, I certainly feel better about my porn habit now. Hope you do too. If you'd like to watch something other than porn, why not check out some old episodes of Bent, either on the Bent website or you can find us on YouTube also. We'll be back soon. Welcome back to Bent, and our last segment is a bit of variety for you and some spoken word goodness with Brigitte Lewis. I hear Brigitte is somewhat feisty, so I'm looking forward to some fiery words. Let's check her out now.
I pull my heart from my chest, hold it up to the sky, and see that it has no gender, race, or sexuality. It lives because I breathe, beats because I know the intimate fragility of life. And I've been taught since birth, when I was 16, how to drive fast in the right lane on the freeway. Funny that. We paint lines around our freedom and call it the way. Build forts around our bones and stay there, shivering against the cold, against the heat, against all the faces of love that try to seep through in wolf's clothes. And I'm no stranger to pain. I know the death knell in my brain better than you can say. Either you're with us or you're against us. And beyond that shadow, I love people. All sizes, all persuasions, because they are the tipping point of these words, held together by our smiles, by our agonies, and exhaled when we remember we're all a reflection. Carved from the bones of our ancestors, stories to tell each other. So get up off your knees, raise your eyes to the sky and pray for another business day, another magazine expose, because these are the stories we leave behind. And I want my footsteps to offer an alternative way, to bring back romance and call it rodance, because language is our chainmail too. And I want liberation on a silver platter, encrusted with the songs of my brothers, the hymns of my sisters, and the sounds of each heart pounding out its own rhythm, its own way through. Because we're not a generic army posing as a Peace Corps of puppetry. We're one reflection of multiple ways to be. Awake if we dare, alive if we let ourselves feel the world through our skin, choose life, choose to fill back in, and I dare you. Take life by the throat, throw yourself in, transcend your sadness, open your heart, open your womb, take hold of your balls, let your voice out. Let your body find its own groove. Play it like a harp. Caress it like you would a lover. And remember, you are the system. I am the system. And there are no walls we can't breathe down together. And I'm gonna huff and puff and blow this house down. Wearing my own robes, wearing my heart on my sleeve. 'Cause I dare. 'Cause I want to be a reflection of you. So call me crazy, a witch, a survivor, a storyteller, a poet, by any other name. Jesus didn't say Christianity was the way. Buddha never said shave your head or else. And Rumi spun in circles because he'd unraveled himself and found the universe. What you find is up to you, not an other to dictate the rules. And dictate always had it wrong. There's more than one Dick and Tate, more than one Tate and Dick. We just forgot to look for ourselves. Got stuck looking at someone else's book, built a pyramid between us, and forgot that we did it all with our own two hands. We don't need a kinship system. We need a skinship system. Forget that illegitimate sibling. Replace legitimate with love and take lovers, not de facto partners. 'Cause while it's true we're all one part of a whole, we're seeking to see our own reflection, not partner another shadow. Stop carrying your history and start telling your story. Stop carving out the same lines of that tradition song and start spouting out the sounds embedded in your own lips. Take back your instincts from the mind and its institutionalized borders and break through all the bars you built to keep back the flow. Let your river run wild. Become the child you never grew up. Take that teenager by the hand and tell it you want it to love with passion and not to mistake lust for a soulmate or a one-night stand. 'Cause Peter Pan never loved Wendy like a man. And Wendy, she needs to receive her own love before she can give Peter Pan a lover instead of a parental figure. 'Cause that's just number 3,554 of the ways we incarcerate ourselves. Build shells for our wounds of not being seen, of not being held, of being fucked when all we wanted to be was held. Being held back when all we wanted to do was scream, na 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 na. I'm free and I'm not gonna let you or my mind shackle me. 'Cause you see and I see all this seesawing of language and mind games leaves us in a spotlight of doubt. Did he? Did she? Did they? And what does that mean anyway? Quandaries. And I want honesty, even if it hurts my ego. I want you to tell me I walk like a masculine version of myself when I'm scared. I want you to tell me I mute the sound of my voice when I doubt my own authority. And I want to know when I channel my father's hate and inject it into you. Channel my mother's inclination for the victim's state and subject you to it. 'Cause I don't want to carry around anyone's shadow but my own. And it's hard enough to get through the day without tasting my own shit in the back of my throat. So tell me, please tell me, when I reflect the wounds of others and not the love that exists before any of this spawned a cyborg state. 'Cause it's true, I'm human. And I make mistakes, but don't mistake my humility for your front doormat. I can do backflips with my mind, rock worlds with my hips, and coerce moans with my fingers. Just like you, brother. Just like you, sister. Just like you. With these words as my witness, and my witness as my waking state, I reposition this self and keep reminding myself, we don't need a kinship system. We need a skinship system.
Word, Brigitte. If you feel like getting in touch about anything you've seen in the world of Bent TV, send something to feedback@benttv.org.au or drop by our Facebook page, Bent TV Australia. We'll be back same time next week. Till then, have a Bentalicious week.